I'm blown away by your story already. Like, this is, if this is not GODMODE worthy, I don't know what is. That was one of the most raw stories that I felt touched multiple times, and easy to resonate for me, because I've gone through some very similar journeys. But man, you could feel the genuine desire that you not only created for yourself, but for those who follow you.
You have wondered what you would be able to do if you were the ultimate version of you, right? You would then have an easy time creating what you want, and yes, effortlessly enjoying life too. Now, you may know this already, the influence you have over your reality is far beyond what you've been told. Soon, you realize that your outer world is merely a mirror of your inner world, and we're here to connect the dots for you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GODMODE.
Welcome back to GODMODE, everyone. So this week we have a incredibly special guest, Cody Sperber. Many of you have probably heard of him, and if you haven't, you need to Google him right now. He's known as the clever investor. But not only that, he's also one of the founders of the Avengers Mastermind and an incredibly successful investor. Frankly, the list goes on. Now, as you guys know, I don't usually like to just bring guests on. It's not just like I bring anyone. I like to bring special people that I have respect for, that I believe when we are able to understand their mental models, you'll have great things to learn from, and you'll be able to model after these mental frameworks, and you'll find that maybe you'll be able to begin to experience some greater success yourself. So thank you so much, Cody.
Yes.
Really appreciate you
having me on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to have a conversation. You have the successful model. I need to take it out of your brain and put it in mine.
You're very kind. You know, we do like to study people that are successful. So over time, we've, aggregated that data set, right? And today, I have the honor of interviewing you and learning more of this successful mindset. So if I may, I have some questions for you.
Let's go. Let's fire it up.
Awesome. So first question, I know that you've had a long history of success in real estate, as well as other aspects of, business, marketing, and frankly, just about everything you touch turned to gold. If I may, what would you say is the one thing that led you onto this journey, that sparked this desire to become great at what you do?
Yeah, so I have been blessed over the years, done 20 years worth of real estate investing, started about a dozen companies so far. About 6 or 7 of them have been real successful, done over $100 million selling, courses and products and services online, doing direct response marketing, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate transactions. And it's been a great ride. It's been a phenomenal ride. But I, as a kid, was completely out of control. Growing up, my parents moved quite a bit. I probably moved by like sixth grade, I probably moved 8 times.
Whoa.
Always trying to create new groups of friends. I was also, they call it gifted now. Back then, they called me a pain in the ass, right? Like they didn't have a name for a kid who had extreme ADHD that was really sharp-witted, but very immature. Like my son is identical to me, very almost above his age in mental capacity, but emotionally way below. And so I was always out of control, man. And I was very sharp-tongued. I got bullied a lot. I got picked on a lot. I got pushed around a lot. I was always in fights. I've gotten in hundreds of fights, got my ass kicked 100 times. Like I never win a fight. And just going through that growing up, I always desired control. And I don't know, when people ask me are you born an entrepreneur? Can you become an entrepreneur? How does it work? I can't be an employee, a good employee. I have this thing built in me that I don't know if it's from my environment or my upbringing or just I was born with it, but I desire control, and I put that above almost everything else. I'm willing to go through extreme amounts of pain for very long periods of time with this obsessive energy just to maintain some form of control. So when I started my own businesses, it was by default because I tried doing the employee thing. I was in the Navy. I hated the Navy from the aspect of it didn't matter how good you were, smart you were, if you were better at your job. It just was how long were you in? The longer you were in, you're in charge, right? And so here I am. I'm better than you. I'm faster than you. I'm smarter than you. I can create better processes and systems than you, but yet I'll never be in charge of you. You're always going to be in charge of me because you were in for 8 years longer. And I hated that. I loved every other aspect of the military, the travel, the conditioning, the brotherhood, all of that. But I hated that I was out of control. So when I got out of the military, I got very lucky. A friend of mine flipped a house, made $80,000, bought a car, and here I am, this young guy trying to like do something, and I was still confused. And I think a lot of young people, they have all this youthful energy and enthusiasm, but they don't know how to channel it. And I got really lucky, man. I wanted to be a marine biologist, but I got really violently seasick when I was in the military because I grew up in Arizona. There's no ocean here. So you get on a boat, you find out real quick, man, I'm not cut out for a boat. And then, that wasn't going to happen. Then I wanted to be a 9th grade history teacher. So I loved teaching. I love that concept of going upstream and helping youth and being a teacher. But I went and talked to the teachers. They don't make any money. And when I actually asked them, would you recommend this as a profession for me? And do you like how much you earn? He actually laughed out loud and said, I have a second job, dude. Like I work nights and weekends just to survive. And so that wasn't going to work for me. And then I hear my friend is flipping a house, buying a brand new Mercedes, rolling up. 3 months earlier, he's dead broke. All of a sudden, he's driving this brand new car. I'm like, how did you do it? And he said, I flipped a house. I made 80 grand. I bought this car and I'm about to do it again. And I thought he was full of crap. I said, no way, dude. I'm like, real estate's for rich people. Like, you need money, you need a license, you need this, you need that. Like, my preconceived notions were rich people did real estate, not some broke college kids. And he goes, no, it's called no money down real estate. There's this concept called wholesaling. They don't teach it in school. You don't need a license to do it. And he grabbed a napkin, believe it or not, and at lunch penciled it out. Then I took the napkin with me and I stared at it. For weeks, I stared at this napkin, and every once in a while, I'd pull it out and I'd look at it and I'd go, something's off. This is bullshit. Can I cuss on this, by the way?
Yeah.
How aggressive can we be?
Yeah, and be completely raw.
Okay,
and
I want to be raw because I think this is important. So many people, like, they try to be podium Cody. You know, I got to be proper Cody.
Yeah, no.
Say all the right things and not get in trouble.
Be you.
I would rather be raw because entrepreneurship is not for everybody, man. It really isn't. I had to have that obsessive need and desire inside. It wasn't from you. You can't motivate me and pull me up a mountain. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And when you first start in entrepreneurship, you think everybody's going to kumbaya and help each other and it's going to be collaborative. And that's not how it is, man. When big money's involved, there's big ego, big, people trying to cut you out of deals and push you around. It's no different than being that out of control kid. You just gotta be aggressive in business at times. And so here I am, I'm realizing I'm getting mad. I'm like, why did nobody teach me that there's other ways to make money in real estate? And I flashed back to a book my dad gave me when I was in the military. And I threw it in my rack. I didn't even read the book for about a year, but I was out in the Persian Gulf doing 5-knot circles for this little skirmish we got into called Desert Fox. So you got to go way back to like, I think 1999, 98, 99, somewhere around there. And I pulled this book out of my rack and it was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, let me look at this. I read it cover to cover in one sitting. And it was the first time in my life I had ever heard of assets and liabilities and thought about how rich people and poor people thought about money. But I read it, and like we all do, we sometimes get turned on to this great wisdom. And we feel it inside, like, man, this is different. This is good. I need this in my life. But then we don't do anything with it. And for years, I did nothing with it. Got out of the military, was going to go be a professor or a teacher. And just by happenstances, my friend turns me on to creative real estate. And I flash back to the book. And I go, this is what they were talking about in that book. What if I could be in real estate? What if I can actually get rich doing this real estate thing? And I just, it's very hard for young people to find their lane. but I just knew, I felt that was my place. And I was in a vehicle that made sense to me. Because when you trade your time for money, and it doesn't matter how good that job is, I could be an anesthesiologist, make $1,000 an hour, I'm limited. And I hated that idea of being limited. But with real estate, the government tells you what they want. And they tell you by saying, these are the things in the world that we will provide tax benefits on. We want affordable housing. We want people to build and to improve. And so real estate is a very tax beneficial vehicle to be in. So not only can I make an extreme amount of money like my buddy did when he made 80 grand with no risk, no license in like 3 weeks, which I don't know too many professions you could do that in. But if you do real estate the right way and you own real estate, you can also keep the money you're making. And that's when everything clicked in my head. And I said, you know what? This is going to be my vehicle. And I'm not going to get out of this lane. I'm going to become the best in the world at it. It didn't turn out that way in the beginning, though. My first 9 months, I didn't do a single deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
9 months.
So think of that. Think of that journey. It took me 14 months to do a deal, by the way. So, and I'm lucky now. I've taught over 90,000 students that have come through my programs. And I tell all of them on the way in, this business is really tough. It's not for everybody. And the reality is, majority of you are never even going to do a deal. Not because the information's not good and the system's not good and the structure's not good and that there aren't deals out there. There are deals everywhere. I do deals all week long, every week for 20 years. It's the mindset thing. This is why people need to upgrade. This is why they need to get out of their own way. And I love having these kind of conversations with people like you, because that was what was in my way for 14 months.
Wow.
And I didn't even know that I was self-sabotaging. I didn't know that I was looking through a blurry lens. I had no idea. I'm just a young kid trying to do some real estate deals, and I'm watching people that aren't as smart as me, aren't as fast as me, and don't have as much unlimited energy as I have, but they're doing deals. In fact, what I discovered is money doesn't care if you're good or bad. Money doesn't care if you have good intentions or bad intentions. You see what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Like, I know a lot of like really big assholes making a lot of money, and people that don't do good things with their money making a lot of money. But I didn't know I couldn't connect the dots for 14 months. And it drove me crazy. And you're in the beginning, you tell everybody like, man, I'm gonna go get rich. This is my thing. I'm putting on my credit card seminars, because you got to go back 20 years ago. No social, no YouTube University, nobody like you to get plugged into, no community. It was gurus putting little tiny ads in the back of newspapers. Real estate seminar at the Phoenix Convention Center, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was so desperate for success that I was willing to put myself into debt to try and learn, because nobody around me was successful. My dad was the most successful person I had ever met, and he got fired every 2 years.
Oh.
We can unpack that. I know you got more questions, but like, that's the setup, bro. That's the setup. Do you want it so freaking bad that first month when you're telling everybody I'm going to get rich bleeds into the third month where people are starting to go, well, what are you doing wrong? Why is this not working? And by the fifth month, your girl is, I don't know, just stay focused on what you're doing, or, man, we're going into a lot of credit card debt. Like, I think this is a bad idea. I don't think this is for you. And then by the 8th month, your parents are sitting you down saying, Cody, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. This isn't what people do. People go to school, they get a good job, they save their money, and then you go do real estate. And I was fighting it. Every ounce of me was fighting it, saying, no, you're wrong. That's your way of thinking. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be stuck. Like, I don't want to be you. You see what I'm saying? I didn't want to be my dad, but yet he's my best advisor.
Man.
But do you have the the belief in yourself to fight through all of that, because on the 9th month, man, I was at my end of what I could do on my own. And I had a deal. It was a good deal. And I was only going to make like $5,000, but it was going to be my first win. And I was so freaking excited over it. And I had worked so hard for like 3-4 weeks to put this deal together. And there was real estate agents involved and title companies involved and buyers and sellers. And I was putting the deal together, and I was the person doing it all. At the last minute, they cut me out of the deal.
Whoa. Wow.
And to me, that 5,000 could have been 5 million. It felt that heavy to me. Like I was devastated. And I was so mad at the injustice of it all. And how could this happen? All of this struggle, all this pain, all these months, all me fighting everybody. Like nobody believed in me at this point. I didn't believe in me at this point. That little voice in your head gets fucking loud by the 9th month. And I'm out of money, and I'm 30 G's in credit card debt, and the deal melted. And even the best of us, when things like that happen, second guess ourselves and throw a little pity party. And I quit. I quit the business on the 9th month. I was like, I'm out. I'm done. I don't want anything to do with real estate. Fuck real estate. I was angry. And Shannon at the time said, Cody, we have to pay these credit card bills. You have to get a job. I will help you put a resume together. I was like, fine, whatever, let's do it. And that next day, the bulletin board at ASU had a job posting that said, real estate bookkeeper wanted. And I was taking classes for finance and accounting for my business degree. One class, by the way, one class. I knew nothing about bookkeeping, nothing about accounting, but I was taking a class. And I called the ad and I said, I'm interested in the job. And he said, can you be here? It was Friday morning when I called. By Friday night, I'm sitting at this guy's office. His name was Jer. And I'm sitting at Jer's office and he goes, do you know how to do books? And I lied. I said, of course I know how to do books. I'm a finance major. He goes, great. Can you start on Monday? I said, hell yeah, let's do this. He said, great, 34 grand a year. I said, well, can I get 38 grand? He said, no, 34 grand a year, take it or leave it. I said, I'll take it. Let's go. Left the interview, went to the bookstore and bought Bookkeeping for Dummies. And I read it over the weekend and I taught myself books. And 48 hours later, I show up, I'm a bookkeeper. And that lasted about 4 months. Khaki pants, the freaking polo, the cubicle, the whole thing. Jer was a dick. The whole thing, like all the cliche things about, being and no offense to bookkeepers. I got a lot of bookkeepers on payroll now, but it was just one of those things where I was going crazy inside because I quit. And I knew I quit. And I knew I defaulted to playing small and thinking small and receding, just like all those times, all those fucking people bullied me and pushed me around and I ran because I was scared. And so here I am, struggling every day, sitting in traffic just to pay my fucking credit card bills at 18% interest. I wasn't really making money. I was just paying off debt. And there's a lot of people out there that know that feeling where like there's always more month at the end of the money and all your money's going to like bad or past expenses. So you never feel progress. You never feel happiness. You never feel joy. You're just stuck. And that's what they call the rat race, right? And so here I am struggling. By 4 months, I'm now getting angrier and angrier and angrier, thinking this is my future. I am my dad. Here I am. Jer says he doesn't want a bookkeeper. I'm fired. I'm totally out of control. I go get another job. They're going to fire me at some point. Because I'm not controllable. I'm going to push back. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to break the rules. That's just who I am. And so I started thinking in the back of my head, like, fuck, this guy is doing real. I'm his bookkeeper. I'm watching the money go in and out, and he's a doofus and a dick, and he's making a killing in real estate. How did I not figure this game out? And I just got lucky. My friend asked me to go to one more seminar. And I fought it for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I finally gave in. And that seminar changed my life. And that, by the way, was the missing piece.
The missing piece. Could you tell us a little bit more? Because that is intriguing.
Yeah. The missing piece wasn't the seminar, and it wasn't more information. It was the community that I was about to walk into. It was meeting a guy named Lyle at the lunch break at the bar, who was this squirrely old man with crazy hair and Adidas sweatpants pulled up to his nipples and old people Velcro shoes and a wrinkly polo shirt, who was just an OG real estate investor. He used to own a bank. He was a banker who got into creative real estate. And when I walked into that room, it was an investment seminar put on by a guy named Jack Miller. Jack's passed away, unfortunately, but they were all old timers, 70s, 80s, 90s, creative finance experts. And they hated paying taxes, and they hated going to banks to borrow money traditionally. They loved creative deals. And so I walk into this room, and it wasn't a pitch fest. It wasn't some guru cheesy thing. It was a bunch of OG real estate investors that met multiple times a year, and there was a strong community. They all knew each other. They all partied together. They all hung out together. They did deals together, lent money together. They helped each other. It was like I'm walking around with my umbilical cord in my hand, looking to plug into something. And I finally found my people. And it just felt like if I had arm hair, it'd be sticking up right now, because I felt it when I felt that electrical energy when I walked into that room. And I said, this is different. They never tried to sell me one thing. Every other seminar I went into, I was the guy that they loved, because I would throw my credit card up on the stage. Like, just give me your damn books and tapes and courses. I want to learn that bad. But this was real community. And Lyle became my first mentor. And when you have somebody that can show you things that you can't learn in books, that's the missing piece. Somebody that really loves you, really connects with you, really pours into you, really locks arm with you. And I tell everybody now, like, they see me, millions of followers and doing all this great stuff. And I got my own podcast now, The Clever Investor Show. And I'm doing all this cool stuff, but I'm not here because I'm so great. I'm here because great people locked arms with me. And that changed everything for me. And that's why I love masterminds and live events and having real raw conversations like this, because there's so much I want to learn from you.
Man.
You know, there's so much I want to get plugged into your community. I love what you're doing at Upgrade.
I'm blown away by your story already. Like, this is, if this is not GODMODE worthy, I don't know what is. That was one of the most raw stories that I felt touched multiple times, and easy to resonate for me, because I've gone through some very similar journeys. But man, you could feel the genuine desire that you not only created for yourself, but for those who follow you. And that community, I can tell they love you. I can tell. I can tell. Because even just meeting you and just asking you for your story, just even a few minutes, I'm like, how could you not love this guy?
Well, people do say that because I'm very approachable, because I talk a lot about that real struggle.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, it's hard. This is why I'm a great marketer. FYI, anybody who wants to sell things, anybody who wants to build community, anybody who wants to connect, it's easy as you start making money. You know, I've been at a lot of different levels of success, and, you know, I couldn't even fathom being a kid that used to sleep on the couch because his grandparents were in one room and my parents were in the other room, and we had a little tiny 900 square foot house with a carport and a piece of crap Nissan pickup truck in the driveway, one car for the whole family, to all of a sudden making $20 million in a year, $25 million in a year. Like, it couldn't even connect like that was possible for me. So I've been at all these different levels. But what you realize is, for every new level, there's a new devil. And that pain dissipates over time. Like, I all of a sudden country club Cody, and I don't resonate with the new investor or the new entrepreneur. And so a lot of times I have to go back and reconnect to my origin story and remind myself, this is what's real. Not the money, not the shit I
like
have.
this.
It's what's real is the actual art of being an entrepreneur and connecting with people and realizing the psychology that's involved in.
Yeah. You know, there's something different about your story that you tell to, you know, compared to other people's stories of struggle and how they overcame it. The subtle difference that made all the difference for me when I'm listening, because, you know, we hear a lot of heroes' journeys. People tell a lot of stories, right, of how they came to where they are. But the way you told your story, and I know it's genuine, there's a focus on the possibility, the hope, and the outcome of what you have not only discovered but achieved. And also there's the desire that is so motivating just listening to it. Even though, yes, it sounds like there's a lot of struggle in the beginning. There were multiple, frankly, a lot of odds that were stacked against you. Yet you could tell the way you were telling that story, it only actually excited you rather than, I mean, maybe not at the moment, but right, as you're telling the story, it's motivating rather than being like, oh man, I feel bad for, you know, this guy. But it's like, no, I'm excited. I'm getting more excited as I hear the story. There's a difference. There's a level of determination. Would you say that there was something that occurred in your mind when you went to that seminar, that you discovered this community? There was something in your mind that clicked. Would you say there was a specific thing that you could share with the listeners or viewers?
I think what clicked for me, going through the failure part of the process first, is to realize that I needed help, and I had to let my ego and pride down and ask and be willing to really receive it. You see, first off, a mentor will show up when you're ready, right? We've heard that analogy or story. It's like I had to be ready for somebody to pour into me. I had to let go of my guard and my fears and be open to being like having especially another man pouring into me that's not my dad, right? You know, it's like, okay, I've never had mentors in my life. Now the word mentor is thrown around everywhere. Everybody's a mentor. Everybody's a coach. But back then it wasn't as common. And we didn't even call ourselves entrepreneurs back then. You know, it wasn't like that. Now it's like cool to have entrepreneur in your Instagram handle.
Yeah. Everyone's an entrepreneur.
Everybody's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And that's why I started off by saying most people aren't cut out for this life. You know, like the amount of pain. If I knew what I was getting into on day one, if you knew the amount of times you'd run out of money and energy and belief and everybody just coming after you and all the compounded problems, you might bow out before you even started. I was just naive enough to go forward and do it. But that was the big thing for me is and by the way, a great mentor will allow you to discover the truth. They don't just talk at you. A good mentor puts you through a process that allows you to discover the truth. They'll guide you. But like all through school, I hated teachers that would just talk at me and then go, "Did you memorize that? Did you understand that? Are you good?" It's like, no, I haven't internalized that. If anything, I'm going to study, memorize it, take my stupid test, and then purge it the next day. But once I let my guard down and I said, you know what, God, if I'm meant to have other people in my life to really help me, if I'm meant to be part of this community, like open up the doors. I'm ready and willing to walk through them. And I started having faith that this was where I needed to be, and that I needed to be coachable, truly coachable. If they asked me to go fill up the car with gas and go do the laundry, like that's what you go do. Like for some reason they think that that's what you need to do right now. And so I was the guy always with my hand up, volunteering. Whatever you need, I'm here. And not everybody shows up that way. I was willing to serve my way into every circle that was in that community. We didn't talk about it, but I actually paid Lyle, and he he messed with me in the beginning, hardcore. And I made Lyle a lot of money. Most people, this is probably another thing we should talk about.
Yeah.
I showed up to this event. I didn't have money. I have a job, credit card debt, and I'm back at another freaking real estate seminar against everybody telling me don't go to another seminar. When I met Lyle, I knew instantly I needed him to be my mentor. I didn't want him to be my mentor. I had to have him as my mentor. It just clicked in my brain. And I said, I'm going to make this happen. But when I asked Lyle, hey, dude, and this is after about an hour and a half sitting at the lunch at the bar, I said, what do I got to do to have you be my mentor? And he laughed and said, Cody, you don't want me to be your mentor. I'm way too tough. And I said, I want you to be my mentor. And he said, I don't think you really mean those words. And I said, Lyle, I'm willing to do whatever it takes for you to be my mentor. Like whatever. And he goes, you're willing to do whatever it takes. And I said, yeah. He goes, you're willing to do whatever it takes. And I said, yeah. And he goes, you're willing to do it. You fucking mean those words? And I said, Jesus, yeah, I mean those words. And he goes, all right, let's see. He goes, I'm a big baseball fan. When you work with me, there's 3 things that you got to understand. Number 1, you're going to show up tomorrow with $10,000 in $5 bills. And you're going to give me that money. Rule number 2, you like baseball? And I said, okay. And he goes, 3 strikes and you're out. You say anything, do anything, talk back in any way, you get a strike. By the 3rd strike, I fire you on the spot and I keep your money. I was like, okay, how bad can rule number 3 be? Like, I'm already almost out because I have no money and I already know I'm going to fuck up 3 times. So like, here we go. And I said, what's rule number 3? And he said, your first deal, you get to keep 100% of it. Your first big deal. After that, I get to decide what you keep and I get to decide what I take. And now I'm thinking, fuck, did I really mean whatever it takes? Like, that's a big, like, this is a lot of big ass. However, I'm in a position where I hate my job. I don't have any other choices, or any other path. And if I'm going to do real estate, this is the best opportunity I have. And if you take a crackhead who's fiending on drugs and you drop them into any city in America, are they going to find drugs? Are they going to find the money? Are they going to find the will? Are they going to find a way? Yes. Because that desire it overrides any hurdle or challenge or obstacle in their way. And so I took that as a major challenge of like, all right, let's figure out a way to get $10,000 in $5 bills by tomorrow. And I did it. And I blew through 2 of the 3 strikes within the first 30 days. And I got all the way to the edge, like every fucking entrepreneur that's probably listening to this, that's great at breaking rules. I got right up to the cliff and I was staring over and I was like, all right, I pushed as far as I could push. But within 2 months of hiring Lyle, I got my first deal. So 9 months, 4 months quitting, all of a sudden, about 3 months, 3 months quitting. And then all of a sudden I'm getting locking up a deal. And made $40,000 on that deal. And it changed my life. I was making $34,000 a year as a bookkeeper, and here I am closing my first deal. And it was a hard deal, and I couldn't have done it without Lyle. It was a bankruptcy, beautiful. A divorce, and a foreclosure. And I knew nothing about any of those things.
Wow.
But through his guidance, I was able to close that deal. I made $40,000. I got to keep it all, and I quit my job the next day. And I never looked back. I've done thousands and thousands of deals since that day. And I still talk to Lyle all the time. And I wouldn't be here without that man and lots of other great mentors along the way. But if I was scared to spend that money that day, if I said to myself, I've tried this, that shit don't work. And I had PTSD from other things that happened in my past. Or if I would have said, man, I don't have any money and I don't even know how to get $5 bills, $10,000 worth of $5 bills. And if I would have made any other choice, I wouldn't be here. So I want to encourage people. I think of money so differently than most people. especially since that day. I use money as a tool to go further faster. I am the first person to spend money to get into the right room. I'm the first person to hire you as my mentor. And I bet people would pay you a lot of money to learn your framework and learn what you know. And they should. Because I went off, and by the way, Lyle took millions of dollars from me over the course of the first 3 or 4 years that I was in business. He was aggressive. And towards the end, he was really aggressive. And that's a whole nother story. But I never regretted a single dollar I paid that guy, because I went off and made tens of millions of dollars. And so a lot of people think of it as an expense. I'm always like, this is an investment to buy time, buy speed, buy a relationship. I don't care if I have to buy your time. You know what I'm saying? Like, they should be throwing money at you. They should be saying, how do I get involved? Oh, it's $30,000. Great. Let me figure out a way. Just like that crackhead in the middle of wherever. Like, figure out a way. Because that will change your life. That one relationship will change everything for you. And because I had no credibility and no skills or capabilities and no resources, I leveraged everything of Lyle's for the first year or two. Everything. I got into deals and rooms and relationships and I made so much money because of that man.
It's beautiful. That probably saves you years, if not decades, wouldn't you say?
Easily. Yeah. And what's funny about Lyle is he wasn't a tech savvy guy. He was an old school. He was all about the art of the relationship. He understood that real estate wasn't about real estate. Real estate was about people, and very emotional people. Nobody's going to sell you their house at a discount unless they're emotional. They're financially in pain, or the house is really old and ugly and beat up. There's got to be some source of pain or a problem that you're solving. That's what we do as entrepreneurs. That's why I push myself so hard right now, because I've already dealt with problems at the 50K level, and at the 100K level, and at the 500K level, and the million, and the 5 million, and the 10, and the 15, and the 20. I want to deal with problems at the $150 million level. Like, I don't want to fuck with little problems. I want to upgrade my problems. Right? And I want to upgrade my skills and capabilities to solve those problems. So, like, for me, I thrive as the underdog. I thrive in the pressure cooker. I thrive when my back's against the wall. I love being discounted. Just like that little kid that hated being out of control. When I get comfortable, I get into fucking trouble. There's nothing, William, there's nothing more dangerous than a rich, bored entrepreneur. We are capable of doing some fucked up shit. Gambling, addiction, women, porn, doesn't fucking matter. We'll go all the way in because we're obsessive like that, and we're crazy. And we don't understand like normal fucking boundaries. And you're smiling because you fucking know. You know, man, you know, and you've seen other people. We can go down like this great path of like building a great legacy and doing all kinds of amazing things for humanity, or completely imploding.
Indeed, the truth has been spoken. I think that this obsessiveness that you speak of is one that truly sets apart those who succeed and those who don't. I think that there's no simpler way of thinking about this. Now, what would you say is this obsession? How would you define obsession if we were to just talk about the word obsession for a moment? How would you define that? There's no right or wrong answer, right?
I know from my personal experience, the way I feel inside, I get a lot of anxiety, like crazy anxiety. If I'm, for a number of reasons, if I feel like I'm not living up to my full potential, if I feel like I'm not working on the right things and other people are steering my ship, people are pushing me in their direction that they want me to do, the things they want me to do, the way they want me to go, but I know it's not in alignment with my purpose, I have to stay in alignment for my anxiety to go down. And when you're walking in alignment with your words and your actions and your purpose, everything starts to work in your favor. But when you're out of alignment in your words and your actions, and because other people are pushing you, my anxiety goes fucking crazy. And and a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to this, is I have this ability. I don't know if it's a superpower because it works in my favor, and it also is a problem, where I can get so laser focused on a goal or a milestone or a thing or a person or whatever that is, that everything else dies to me. I can literally kill all other thoughts, people. I don't have empathy. I don't have a care in the world about what you want or why you want it or what the consequences are until this happens. And that, to me, that's my superpower. That's why I'm able to go, you know what? I'm going to throw the biggest event in our space and pull it off. I'm going to throw this event. I'm going to make $9 to $10 million and pull it off. In 3 days, make $10 million and look at all my team and say, we fucking did it. I told you we can do it. And in the beginning, they don't even believe that we can do it until you do it. And then their belief system raises. Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of people can relate to that it's like I'm a light switch. It's like I'm on or off. But if I'm off to you, you're dead to me. And you can call me 5,000. Like, I don't even have voicemail set up. I think I have, let's just see. I have 24,496 unread emails. It's like I don't have a business card. I try to eliminate all the noise except for what I'm obsessing over.
Love that.
Yeah.
The unconscious mind has a unique ability to literally detune everything else. Like you said, delete everything else dies when it's aligned to what you want, right? And so what I have historically seen, great entrepreneurs who are obsessive, who are obsessed with their goals, they've gotten so good at getting their unconscious mind motivated on the one thing they want. And the unconscious mind, literally, it's the filter. It controls the filter. It deletes everything else. Mm. And so what I'm saying is you got really good at getting your unconscious mind motivated to give you what you want, because the unconscious mind is the interface between us and our reality. So if you can get your interface to be aligned with you, you're king.
I will say this, though. If anybody ever brought up the word balance to me in the past, I used to laugh and be like, there's no such thing as fucking balance. That's a joke for people who want to live an average life. That was literally my belief system for a long time. Last year, my mom died of cancer, passed away in my arms, and my marriage melted. I was not in the best of shape. Like, you look at me right now, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm also the happiest I've ever been. Last year was the saddest I've ever been. All this change and things are happening in my life that were out, some in my control, a lot out of my control, because of the way I operated for a long time. And because I wasn't able, while balance might not be achievable in its perfect form, presence is. And that's where I was failing. I hid my subconscious pain in achievement. And when I didn't understand that I was doing it to the degree I was doing it until it had damaged so many relationships and things around me. That light switch that I'm talking about, I was doing that with my family. I was doing that spiritually. I was doing that with my health. And you wake up and you see all these people, especially entrepreneurs, and they got the fancy gold Rolex. And you're in Cabo and you're at the pool, and they're a fat motherfucker with bitch tits, and they're like in a t-shirt and they're embarrassed about their body, but they got the gold rollie, and the whole time they're on the phone with working on vacation. You know what I'm saying? And I looked around and I'm like, how many people are rich? 1 in 10 Americans are considered millionaires. It's a staggeringly low number. I didn't think that it was going to be 1 in 10, but because of their houses and their real estate, they would be considered a millionaire. But 1 in 25,000 people have a six-pack. I'm like, something's fucked up about this. Why are there more rich people than healthy people? It's because there's a bunch of guys out there like me hiding their pain and achievement. And because we're out of control with our family, or we're out of control spiritually, or we're out of control with our bad habits are out of control, we move all of our energy into this one thing that thrives. and all this other stuff's failing. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be that person that's not dominating on multiple different levels at one time. How do I upgrade my belief system? And I realized it was all tied to how I loved myself. I couldn't give you, my wife, or my best friend, or my business partners, unconditional love because I didn't unconditionally love me because of all that shit I went through. And there's a lot I didn't talk about. You know, all three of my uncles were drug addicts and went to prison, and one of them was a pedophile, and like just crazy stuff happening around me. Being in and I'm not saying this to say woe is me. It's just we grow up around certain people and certain things that shape us. And what I didn't realize I was doing that whole time was compartmentalizing and bearing. And it wasn't until my mom died in my arms and my marriage is falling apart that I did the one thing that I'm really great in business. If you were to ask me, what is one of your superpowers in business? It's the art of the pause. It's hard to have clarity and do chess moves as an entrepreneur if you're moving too fast. You have to get quiet. You have to slow down. You have to breathe. You have to eliminate noise for a few minutes, hours, days, weeks, whatever the length of time it takes to get clarity on like, what are the moves? And you got to not think about one move. You got to think about like 5, 6, 7 moves. And if you can't ever see that if you're noisy. So I'm great at that in business, but I'm horrible at that in my personal life because I had never slowed down long enough to go deep and to go, what the fuck? Why do I react so strongly for certain things? Somebody cuts you off in traffic and you lose your fucking mind and your whole day's ruined. And you're like, how did that happen? How did I get so out of control emotionally? You get what I'm saying? Like
Totally.
How did you? It was just pain. It was subconscious pain that I didn't even realize that was my driver that was holding me back from stepping into my potential. But when guys like me get their ass kicked and you're kind of like hitting rock bottom and then you go a little deeper, like rock bottom's basement, you realize I need more help. I need to stop. I need to shut all my businesses down. I need to go get professional help. I need to go deep, like as deep as it takes. And I went to a place called Psychological Counseling Services in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I paid them, I think, $10,000 for a 7-day intensive, 14 hours a day. We did every type of therapy under the sun. My favorite was EMDR. I really enjoyed EMDR. Still go every once in a while and do more EMDR because there is NLP involved and it's a subconscious reprogramming and it's based on firing both sides of your brain while you're going through this process. And there's a very trained, great therapist that's helping you through this. And you take things that might be like a level 8 or 9 or 10, like my mom dying in my arms. Something like you barely even have to talk about it and I lose my shit. And you bring it down to a 1 or a 2 over a bunch of different sessions. And it's like, how do you calm your inner child down? How do you address all that pain? How do you reset and recondition your reactions on a subconscious level? So when somebody brings you the wrong meal, you're not lighting up some poor server in front of your family. And then afterwards going, I don't know why I act like that. I'm sorry. And you're apologizing. It's like, now I'm able to control myself because I don't react. My body's not vibrating at the wrong frequency. But it took me getting my ass kicked to slow down long enough to go do that. So I hope everybody listening, if you want to unlock the next level and you want to really experience your full potential, go backwards. Go deeper. Like, go back to your childhood, get the professional help, do the breath work, do the ice baths, do the subconscious reprogramming. You're going to show up in every relationship across the board. My spiritual game is on point. I have a better relationship now with my ex-wife and kids than I've ever had in 18 years of being with her. I show up different. I unconditionally love her at a level that I never thought I'd be able to connect.
Wow.
because that's how I feel about me now.
So you previously were laser focused on achieving those goals because there was too much pain elsewhere that you didn't want to focus.
Without even realizing it.
It was unconscious.
Yeah. If you would have asked me, William, how was your childhood? I'd say it was good. It was cool. I didn't care that we didn't have money. It was a good childhood. Then once you build your trauma egg, and once you readjust your intimacy circles, and once you do NLP and horse therapy and breath work and group therapy and one-on-one therapy and acting therapy, and you go through all these modalities, like you realize, oh my God, I'm carrying around so much heavy stuff that I buried. So no wonder as an entrepreneur, I'm great at taking on tremendous amounts of pain, solving challenges, and then moving on like it didn't exist, and just going to the next hurdle and the next challenge and the next. So I tell people all the time, like, that was my superpower, but it was also the thing that held me back.
Pain unresolved repeat themselves. So that makes sense why there was also a lot of pain in the beginning of that journey too, sounds like. And now it's resolved. I could only wonder what the next level will look like.
You have to interview me in 10 more years, right?
Or in a couple months when you never know how fast time compress as you grow. That is true. Right?
Yeah, I wish I would have done it a lot sooner. I want to encourage, especially men right now, we're conditioned to be tough, and I didn't cry for 10 years. The only time I cried in 10 years is when my dog Sully got ran over by a car. And I didn't even cry in front of my kids. I waited until I was alone to do it.
Wow.
Now, like, the wind blows or I see a commercial and I start losing my shit because I'm connected again.
That's beautiful.
It feels good. It feels like I'm showing up in the world finally.
I'm lucky to have met you at this peace. It's not just a peaceful time. It's a time where you're the most connected. So I think that's why I said what I said last time right before I left. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah. Intentional.
Yeah. So I have just one or two more questions because I know we're coming up on an hour. If you look back, I mean, I know there's a lot of things you've learned, a lot of experience, a lot of pain, but you resolved them, and a lot of joy also, great success. If there's one big learning, now it may not be like the big learning that's obvious. It may be the big learning that's not obvious. Maybe one that you may not even have considered before this moment. If there's one learning that I think that if people get from you, or maybe you could even just tell your younger self much sooner, that would change everything for you. That would save you pain, years of pain. That would give you greater pleasure and greater connectedness. What would you say that is if you were to know?
Damn, that's a deep question. Besides going and getting and dealing with all the childhood stuff sooner, which I really wish I would have, I'd probably say a couple things. One, find great mentors and get plugged in as fast as humanly possible. Spend your money on those kind of things. When I first made my first bit of money, I bought cars and went on vacations and bought a house and took all my friends and bought them stuff. Like, I was stupid with my money in the beginning. I wish I would have just reinvested really aggressively back into personal development, into paying for connections and relationships and getting into the right rooms. Because as I went through some of those failures and then finally smartened up, joining masterminds moved the needle for me more than anything else. Being in the right room and connecting with other people and serving my way into those circles moved the needle for me more than anything else. So besides that, I would also say lower your people expectations. We get frustrated and rapport is broken when our expectations are here and people are down here, or the other way around. I really try to go into new relationships with clarity on my expectations now. And I don't expect you to make me happy. I don't expect you to solve all my problems. I don't expect, you see what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I've really had to get that as an entrepreneur in check. Because in the beginning, like I said, I thought everybody's going to kumbaya and collaborate and help each other. And it's just not the way the world works. People have their own story, their own vision, their own belief system, their own way of doing things, and they have their own outcome that they want. And it's not, alignment equals velocity. And if you can get in alignment with your partners and with your words and your actions and all that, everything opens up. And it took me a while to master the pause and reset my expectations and just get better at the psychology and the connection of people. Because once I started mastering that, my relationship started to flourish. I was better at putting the right people in the right seats of the bus. A lot of entrepreneurs, we know what we do. I do real estate, right? I wholesale, I rehab, I do Airbnbs, whatever. So we know what we do. And a lot of us know how we do it. Otherwise, we'd fail in business. And then here comes Simon Sinek and says, well, let's connect it to a why. Why are we doing this, right? And it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let's connect so we know what and how and why. But that's where most entrepreneurs stop. I always obsessed over what's in it for you if you do it with me. How do I get alignment with you? Because I know that I'm going to go further, faster if we're together. I can't do this on my own. I'm not smart enough. I'm not fast enough. I don't have enough energy or time. I need to leverage. I need to master the art of leverage. And that's what real estate's all about, is I need to leverage your time, money, resources, skills, connection, all of it. I have to become the best in the world at leverage. And once I understood that, I'm like, okay, I got to get good at taking an entrepreneur and taking my big, huge vision and taking your vision and putting them together. Like, how do I put your vision within my vision so we both achieve our outcome? And I get clarity on explaining what's in it for you if we do it together. And that's how I've been able to build very successful teams and scale. You cannot win this game if you're not scaling. You have to scale. And so, man, there was a lot there. That's what I would
Love it.
I would study psychology and get good at persuasion and influence.
That's cool. I like that answer. It's the very reason we built the upgrade program called Sales God, literally about persuasion and influence and connecting with the audience or the client or the partner's unconscious mind. Because to know what they really want, it's not a conscious answer. It's very unconscious.
Yeah. Well, think about this. I meet you and we decide to do some business together. And then 2 years in, our expectations are out of alignment. You don't feel like you have a path with me anymore. You start doing side hustle gigs. You start building your own thing. And next thing you know, we have a falling out. And it's called regrettable turnover in business. Nothing is worse than bringing somebody on, putting them in the wrong seat, not having alignment, or even starting off in the right seat, getting momentum and then losing it. And then they leave and they take 3 of your best people with them and they go start their own business and now they're your competitors or something. There's nothing more frustrating in business. But the only place you should be pointing is back at yourself, because I failed. I screwed that up. I misread the relationship. I didn't take the time to go deeper with you. Know what your fears are, your pain is, your challenges are, your hopes, your dreams, what you want your next 5 years to look like, and what your outcome needs to be in order for us to do this together. Once I got there, I was like, oh my God, I could scale this thing so big.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that answer. In fact, I think that knowing our audience, what you just said, it's going to be enlightening to them.
Yeah, good. I've had some horrible, some of my biggest regrets in business are losing key personnel. And trust me, my ego, oh, I could do it without them. No, you can't. No, you can't, because the magic is when 2 amazing people, 3 amazing, 5 amazing people, they all get together and that momentum happens because of the alignment.
That synergy.
Yeah.
Last question then. It's kind of like the last question, except it's in the future. If you meet Cody from 10 years from now, more sophisticated than you already are, more wiser, right? I mean, more successful than you already are, and frankly, just 10 years more advanced. Someone who's, I would say, experienced a quantum leap.
Okay.
what do you think he'll share with you? If you were to not think about it.
Yeah. I think he'd be like my good friend Wes Watson says, ripped, rich, and rare. I think he would say, dude, you set a standard. It was fucking legendary. You impacted a ton of people. Your legacy is on point, and you're happy because you're in alignment with your purpose. I have no doubt that 5 or 10 years from now, I'm gonna be exactly where I need to be, because I have a lot of clarity on who I want to show up as every single day. And by the way, I'm never worried about the future or the past. Like, I'm so present right now. Like, that's how I operate. I'm like, you know what? I can't control anything else except for how I show up today. How present am I going to be? What kind of standard am I going to set? And I'm loud. If you watch me on social media, I'm yelling at everybody. Because I'm like, dude, Super Bowl, let's go, baby. We're running out onto the field. How are we going to show up today? Because my anxiety comes from stressing about the past or the future. But if I'm just like right in the moment, and because like even like what we're doing here right now, just serving, I can't even worry about anything else. I'm just like, let's fucking go. So I think that person that I'll meet 5 or 10 years from now will be very proud. We'll be proud of each other. I'll know that person.
Yes. I think that person will say very good things.
It's like Ed Milet. He tells a great story about that concept, about like if you were at the gates of heaven and you were meeting you and you were letting you into the gates of heaven, would you recognize that person? That'd be pretty shameful if you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why you got to show up every single day and just say, look, I can't control the economy or politics or anything else, but I can control my little personal world, the way I react to everything, the money moves I'm making. This is why I'm so big on financial literacy. Money solves a lot of problems. I can buy my way into a lot of cool places. I can be in the best shape of my life because for me, I can afford to go to the gym or get personal training, and I can work out till 10 or 11 o'clock, then decide I'm going to work. Because I have that kind of freedom, because I built so many assets around me and great businesses and great teams that the money's coming in regardless of what I do on a minute-by-minute basis. And that's really where people need to get. And that was my drive from the beginning, is how do I control and get out of this rat race and get into my little world where I'm happy and I live life on my terms. And if they're not good at the money game, you got to study it. It's hard. It's boring. It's mastering the mundane. It's a bunch of psychology and stuff that, not everybody's into, but you have to do it if you want to get out of the rat race. And thank God I did it, because I'll tell you this, like, there will be a day that I'm a ghost. All my social accounts will be gone. I don't even know what'll happen to the companies, but I don't really care. There will be a moment in time, and I know where it is in my mind, where everything just is gone. And they're like, what happened to Sperber? And I'm going to be off doing my thing. And if I know you and I love you, you'll know how to get a hold of me. Otherwise, I'm out. And it'll be a beautiful thing, but only because I'm in the right money-making vehicle and I built the right team of people around me that I'm able to get there. So I wish that upon everybody listening, and hopefully they upgrade all their levels so they can experience that kind of freedom and joy in their lives.
You're awesome, Cody. Thank you. That was a podcast full of wisdom. In fact, there was, I think, too many golden nuggets that you've shared that I can't even count. And I mean it. Like, this was really an incredible podcast. Thank you so much for your time. I'm noticing one thing, if I may point out before we end the podcast. Something I've noticed is that you've gained greater and greater control of your mind and greater control of your world, your personal world. And that this control and dominion begins to reach beyond your personal space. And that's where the business success continues to grow. And that day that you speak of, I can see it very clearly happening for you. I'm excited for you.
Let's throw a party.
Yeah.
We'll shut the social down, and you can push me off in my raft out into the water. Say, like, see you, dude.
I love that you brought that up, because right before we started the podcast, I talked about how I just want to be a shadow.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. That's why I resonated with it, because I feel the same way. And I think, look, what you're doing here is fantastic. And you're going to help a lot of people have the building blocks to go and do what they need to do.
Thank you.
You have to have them. And so, I'm around. If you need me, holler. I'll show up and serve anytime you need me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening and watching this time. We're here for you because we believe that these building blocks that Cody just spoke of, we can help you save some years, maybe some decades, so that you can achieve your dreams. See you next time.